Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. We are in day 5 now of the 13 days of Halloween, where I have locked myself into the Asylum, and I'm only talking about horror films from the Asylum. So day 5 is pretty special to me because this is one of the very first Mockbusters I ever learned about, and I have been wanting to see it for years now because it is a Mockbuster of just one of my favorites. I absolutely love I Am Legend, also from 2007, which this, of course, is a mockbuster of. So this one is directed by Griff First, and I was able to watch this one via Hoopla. Unfortunately, I do not own a physical copy of this, but I will mention that I did see this on Blu-ray at Disc Replay a couple weeks ago, but is this one that I need to have physically, or was watching this once enough? Well, let's talk about it a little bit here. So if you guys are enjoying these 13 days, please give this a like down below. That really helps me out. But with that said, let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right into day 5, where I talk about I Am Omega from 2007. As I already mentioned, I Am Omega is from 2007 and directed by Griff Hurst, which that name wasn't familiar to me. It might be to you, but though he did direct a handful of Asylum films, he's probably best known for his work as an actor. He was in pretty big name shows like Banshee, I think was like a Showtime series. He was in Now You See Me. He just has a handful of credits as an actor, and that's probably how he's better known or best known at this. But the title of this is very clearly taken from I Am Legend, the Richard Matheson story, and the 2007 film with Will Smith, but it also plays on The Omega Man, which is from the 70s. I forget the exact year, but Charlton Heston is in the lead role there, and then the other one is The Last Man on Earth, which is the other adaptation of the Matheson work, and that one is, I believe, from the 50s or 60s with Vincent Price in it. I've seen all of those. I enjoy all of those to some degree. My favorite of the bunch, though, admittedly, is I Am Legend. That is just one of my favorites, which is why I was so excited to see I Am Omega, because I wanted to see how they did it. Well, I Am Omega does things quite a bit differently than even the story that it is supposedly based off of, which is not really a bad thing because all 3 other film adaptations do quite, things quite differently than the story itself. But, it is what it is. That's just the way things go. And I think those are successful. Admittedly, those are much more successful than what we get with I Am Omega. But as you might expect with I Am Omega, we are also following one main character who believes at least that he could be the last person on Earth thanks to this plague. It really felt more like zombies in this one than it has in really any of the other ones. I Am Legend, they really play on the light and dark aspect where they cannot come out in the light, and so he's pretty safe during the day. Here, though, these zombie, or these creatures, I guess I'll call them, are prevalent virtually at any time of the day. Anywhere he goes, they show up, and so they don't really play with the night and day aspect quite to the same extent that I Am Legend does. I will mention, though, that there are 2 nods to I Am Legend. Now, I don't know if they just got these from trailers or what, but there is a picture of a German Shepherd shown in his house at the beginning. Obviously, that I Am Legend is big with the German Shepherd. And then there's also just this random mannequin at his dinner table when he's eating and on his computer and whatnot, which is another big scene in I Am Legend. And so they probably just saw those things in the trailer or whatever and decided to toss them in as kind of nods to I Am Legend, or maybe they were just there to use in the trailer, who knows. But unfortunately, there is no dog in this one, and the mannequin really plays no role, not even a humorous one, like it does in I Am Legend. Sticking with the positives here, I do want to mention that I thought the creature effects were actually surprisingly well done. They're different than what you got with like I Am Legend or Omega Man or even The Last Man on Earth. They're quite different, but they're unique in a good way. Like, it's really strange. They have like spikes on their back, at least some of them do, and I thought that was pretty cool. The only thing that was really different about these characters outside of their look was the fact that for whatever reason, they didn't like the sewers, which is interesting because in I Am Legend, of course, they're basically living underground. And so that was something I thought was pretty different here. But outside of that, there is not a whole lot to really compliment this movie on. So our lead character here, Richard, or I forget, like, I thought his name was Richard, but it's actually spelled like Remford or Renchard or something. Renchard. That's how it's spelled on IMDb. So I don't know what that is about, but he is played by Mark Dacakis, I believe is how you would say his name. Another pretty well-known actor. He's a martial artist is probably what he's best known for. He was in like John Wick 3, for example. And because he has this martial arts background, they want to play up some of that a little bit throughout this film. But the problem is the director and the editor don't know how to handle it. And so, if you watch, I watched recently Police Story, or Tokyo Story, Police Story with Jackie Chan, and that was just brilliant in terms of how they handled the martial arts. This is nothing compared to it. Not only do they not utilize it too often, but when they try to do it, it's just not edited correctly. It's not edited well. It's too jumpy. It almost felt like watching like a WWE wrestling match where it's just kind of chaotic jumps for no reason at all. There's no flow to the battles at all, the fight scenes, and that really hurts any martial arts scene. And so I thought that aspect of it was just so distracting to me because it was so poorly directed and then so poorly edited. And that poor editing is not just in those fight scenes. The entire film felt stilted and jarring. At points, I couldn't tell if we were making a time jump ahead an hour or if we were just following the exact same moment, but from a different camera angle because of the way that things were cut together. It was just so disjointed. And I thought that was just so, it took me out of it a ton. And I was really disappointed by that. The last thing I'll say about Mark Dacakis is that he just doesn't have the charisma that Will Smith, Vincent Price, and Charlton Heston have. And that is so important for a movie like this, where for the first half of the film, he's like the only character that we're following. And because he doesn't have that charisma, it got boring in the first half because I didn't really care about him like I cared about those other three characters that I talked about in their respective films. Another aspect that they kind of talk about or tease a little bit is the mental aspect of being essentially the only person around. And it very clearly takes a toll on him. Of course, he has lost his wife and his son. And so there is a mental aspect that's being played up here, and he even takes pills for it. There's this whole scene where he's literally just eating pills like candy. But then once the action picks up and we do find other people, because obviously we're going to, once that happens, that is just completely thrown to the side, and we never really hear about it again. And that was really disappointing because I thought that would have been an interesting aspect that would make this film stand out a little bit, is to play up the mental side of it, because they really don't do that too much in those other three adaptations. And so I thought there was an opportunity here for it to stand out that it just didn't capitalize on. And another thing that I just found was a bit disappointing with this one. They do try to bring a romance into this, and it just doesn't work at all. It feels forced. It is unnecessary. There is virtually no chemistry at all between the two lead actors, where this relationship is trying to be built between, and it was not needed. Completely unnecessary. And another thing that hurt the film for me. I thought the acting was decent enough. I think our main male character, or I'll say our main protagonist, I thought were decent. I thought our main antagonist was quite good. I really liked him, who actually is the writer on this script as well. So that was interesting. But I don't know, this one just goes in weird directions that you don't typically expect for a movie like this, which is a good thing, but it doesn't capitalize on any of those. And so overall, at the end of the day, this one just ended up being a bust for me. I love adaptations of I Am Legend by Richard Matheson because I love that story. This time, though, it just didn't work for me. So I am going to give I Am Omega from 2007 1.5 out of 5 stars. All right, so those are my thoughts on I Am Omega, and admittedly, Day 5 was a little bit of a bust. I'm especially considering how much I was anticipating this one, just because it's been one that I've been wanting to see for so long. So I was hoping for a little bit more, either it being a little bit goofier, so I could laugh with it, or laugh at it, whatever the case is, or just being genuinely good, and this one, unfortunately, is neither of those. So it's probably one I could recommend passing, and you wouldn't be missing anything, but that's how it's going to go go on these 13 days. We'll see what day 6 brings us. So if you guys do enjoy this video, or you did enjoy this video, I should say, give it a like down below. That really does help me out. And like I always say, I don't just talk movies, I talk all things media, be it books, movies, video games, graphic novels. If it's media related, I'm interested in it. And if you are too, you might consider subscribing. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and I want to encourage you to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.